Kaloja, the Director of Loss Prevention and Safety for the Sherman Retail Group. Today in this video we're going to take you through the entire process of the physical inventory counting of the Carlton Cards retail stores utilizing the WIS service. What I want to get across today is that nothing has changed from the physical inventory process that we just did in May, June. You'll use the same forms, you'll use the same count sheets, you'll pre-count the stockroom and the remote, as well as prior to the service arriving for the physical inventory count, you'll also pre-count the collectibles and the jewelry items. If you have any questions during this process, feel free to give your district manager or regional director a call. I can always be reached at markg@papyrusonline.com, or you could send Denny DeMarcy an email at dennyd@papyrusonline.com. Good luck everybody, and I hope you have a great physical inventory.
Accurate and complete accountability on your count sheets is going to be an integral part of your inventory process. All count sheets must be accounted for. When completing your account sheets, annotate your store number, the date you're completing your count sheet, and the section number for the count sheets. Keep in mind you may have more than one count sheet per section, so at the top where it says page 1 of, write down how many total pages are on that section, and for each count sheet it will go in numerical order from 1 to the total number of count sheets for that section. On the main part of the count sheet you're going to write the SKU number if available. If not, you can write the UPC number, a brief description of the merchandise, and the total quantity of that product. You would also write down the unit retail for each piece. You do not have to write an extended retail for the total line. Once you're done with your count sheet, you need to write the total quantity of pieces for that count sheet in the bottom left hand corner of your count sheet. Once your inventory service keys in the single count sheet, at the bottom they're going to write the total number of pieces and the total dollar amount for that count sheet. When you're filling out form B, you're going to make sure that the quantities listed on your count sheet match what the inventory crew had entered in. This is going to be our fail-safe mechanism. Make sure that you remind your inventory service before they start keying in the count sheets that they are to write down the total number of pieces per sheet and total dollar amount per sheet. Form B is going to consist of multiple pages. It's where we're going to account for each and every count sheet that was sent to your store. Very important. Every single count sheet that was sent to your store and that you use must be accounted for. Even if one of those count sheets was voided out, you need to write the count sheet number down on the form B and write down void for the description. As the inventory service keys in your count sheets, they're going to write a quantity total at the bottom. As instructed earlier, when you were completed with that count sheet, you wrote your quantity number on the bottom left. Once the count sheets are given back to you by the inventory service, you're going to go back to your form B where you have them all listed in numerical order, and you're going to write down the dollar amount entered by the inventory service for that applicable count sheet. The last column where it asks, did piece counts match? This is where you're going to compare the piece counts that the inventory service annotated on the bottom of the count sheet to what whoever pre-counted it in the store wrote on the bottom left hand side. If the quantities match, you would just simply circle yes and move on to the next one. If the quantities don't match, then you're going to want to research this further. You might want to get a detailed section listing from the inventory crew supervisor and verify where there is a discrepancy. Make sure that you research every single discrepancy. Failure to do so will result in shrink.
Now we are going to discuss preparing your stock rooms for inventory. As we've done in the last few years, you're only required to put section tags on areas with actual merchandise that we're counting. If you have an area with fixtures or if you have empty shelves, we will put do not inventory tags in these areas. Areas again with merchandise are the only areas where we will put section tags. This will also go on your store diagram that you complete. Also, when completing your stockroom, we always talk about count sheets and the proper way to complete them. You can have multiple count sheets per bag, such as a bag of plush, or multiple count sheets per shelf or sections, such as areas with large numbers of merchandise. However, you cannot put multiple bags on one count sheet or multiple shelves on one count sheet. Now we're going to give you a tip about preparing your stockroom for inventory. When preparing your bin or shelf areas, you can use your gray cart to empty all product out of one shelf. And then take your count sheets, record the product on the count sheets as you place the product back on the shelf. This helps you to be more accurate about recording your inventory. It also helps to identify boxes that may be empty. And it helps you reorganize your stockroom in a neat and clean and orderly fashion. Now we're going to take a few moments to talk about the proper labeling of your store. You will see that in your inventory packages you are provided with a store diagram. If you follow the diagram, you will start labeling your section tags in the front of your store, and you will continue around the perimeter and then side to side, front to back in an orderly fashion. We will also take a few minutes to show you some individual fixtures and card runs and how to properly label those sections. Now we will demonstrate how to properly label these sections in the store. As you will see, Denny is placing the section tags in the upper left-hand section. He's using the natural breaks in the wall as well as 4 to 8 foot sections. Please remember that when you're laying out your section tags, to lay them out in an orderly fashion. This will prevent the counters from missing any merchandise or merging sections together. Here's an example of how to properly label a store D fixture. You will see that Denny is placing the section tags in the upper left-hand section of each fixture. He's using the natural breaks and proceeding in a counterclockwise fashion around the D fixture. We do this for a couple of reasons. One, we are one of the few companies that actually label our stores for inventory. So we want to label our fixtures the same as the inventory service is used to doing. This will make it less confusing for them to count, and it will aid you when you do your final store walkthrough. Now we're going to demonstrate how to properly label your card sections. You will see that Denny is starting to label the card sections in the front of the fixture, placing the section tags on the upper left-hand section. We're asking you this year to follow the card runs on the display cards first. Your card understock will be labeled after you have finished all of your card fixtures, and that will be the last set of numbers that you use on the sales floor. Just like the other fixtures in the store, you will see that Denny is proceeding in a counterclockwise fashion around the card fixture. Again, this will make it easier for you to walk the sales floor with your corporate summary report. And again, we ask you to remember that to make your card understock as the last set of numbers on your sales floor. And stores with partial inventory, remember to not label your corporate cards. A couple of last reminders about labeling your store. Remember when you're placing your section tags not to forget your freestanding fixtures. Some of your stores have large freestanding fixtures with a large amount of product on them, like the Blue Mountain fixtures. You may need to place section tags on each side of these fixtures. Also remember when you're labeling your stores that at some point you may be going back and doing test counts. You don't want a section so large that it's going to be difficult for you to verify a detailed listing of that count.